Hello and welcome to the United Standard for the preview of Manchester United vs City. I'm joined by Callum, Mark and Mike, author of We've Got No History, but a Manchester City fan. So I'll jump straight into it. We both had Champions League games on Wednesday. Man United with a very, very tough drawing away in Russia, terrible conditions, minus freezing temperatures, but I just wanted to do a quick recap before we jump into the City game. So I'll go straight over to you, Mark. I know you touched on it straight after on the show, but how do you think we played and what do you think went wrong?
I mean, I don't want to dwell on it too much because of. Sorry, mate. I've got. Let me just mute it. Sorry. Yeah, I don't want to dwell on it too much last night because I think we are. We've got the derby. It's all about the derby, and I think it's the same for City as well. If City had lost last night, if we'd lost last night, it's irrelevant. The derby's a great leveller. It's all about that. Last night, I can understand why some United fans were a bit disappointed, but I would have taken a draw before it. Some people are saying Moscow were bad. They were. It's the way Louis van Gaal wants to play. He wants to play on the front foot. If we'd sat back, Moscow parked the bus against us, we'd have hit them on the break, we'd have won the game. But he doesn't want to do that. He's trying to build this philosophy of possession on the front foot. That's why we lost at Arsenal. That's why we struggled a bit yesterday. But it's all about the derby for me.
And Mike, we obviously didn't catch the City game because our own game was on, but how did City play? I saw Kevin De Bruyne, who we're going to touch on later, got a late leveller, but how did you play overall?
Not too bad, actually. But as things have, let's say, appeared to be in the last few matches, we've left things late. We're not going to blame the absence of Aguero and Silva because we've left it late when they have been on the pitch. It's just, with Champions League, we seem to play differently. It's not like the Premier League where we just go gung-ho and try and score 27 goals or whatever it is. You know, we leave it for them to score a goal and then us to snatch it at the last minute, and it's simply not good enough.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. And Callum, just quickly, because we want to get straight onto the City game, but what did you make of the game yesterday?
I think the first half was definitely poor from United's terms. I mean, it was the sort of performance which we'd seen against Arsenal in the previous half. Maybe not the same sort of player, but the same sort of disappointment in the first half performance. But second half was a lot better, I feel. I feel like we need to move on from it now. It was a good result away from home. I'm kind of disappointed. I don't know. I felt like we should be beating teams like CSK Moscow. But I do admit that it's away and it's a very tough place to go, I guess. But moving on from it now, we've got 2 more Champions League games to go, which they will be in the future, which we do need to focus on. But all fires ahead, all focus on the City derby coming up this Sunday.
Yeah, without a doubt. And now on to the next topic. Martial and Kevin De Bruyne were both bought at the very, very near end of the transfer window. Both were deemed ridiculous waste of money. Obviously, De Bruyne was an ex-Chelsea player but didn't really get the chance there, but went to Wolfsburg, another team in our Champions League group, and did really well, getting something like 20 assists and 17 goals or something like that. And Martial came in as the top scoring teenager in Europe across the top 5 leagues, but realistically speaking, not many people had heard of him, and both have completely so far exceeded expectations. So Mark, what have you made of Martial so far this season, and also Kevin De Bruyne, who seems to be City's main man at the moment? Mark?
Oh, sorry, I thought you said Mark.
No, I did say Mark, but I don't know.
My name's Mike.
Yeah,
sorry,
I know it's confusing.
I hit the wrong button there. You can hear me now, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'll cover them both quite quickly. Martial, I think, obviously the headline, what a waste of money. I think, speaking as a Manchester United fan, I think he's the signing of the season. Sensational player and our most important player, and I'm not having a dig out of City there. He's our most important player. That's why I say he's the signing of the season. Conversely, with De Bruyne, he's a good player. Chelsea made a massive mistake letting him go. Manchester United were never in for him, so we don't need to have the conversation about whether he would have come to United or not. Totally irrelevant. He's a good signing for Man City. I've just done the Red Devil Chronicle podcast about 20 minutes ago, and they asked me for a score prediction. I went 3-2 because I do think De Bruyne will score against us. 3-2 to Manchester United, by the way. But I think they're both really exciting young players, and I think they both have the potential to be
Yeah, without a doubt, I have to agree with that. My personal opinion at the moment is that I know it's very early in the season, but I think that Kevin De Bruyne will win Player of the Season. I think Martial will win. I know you think Memphis will, Mark, but I think Martial's going to comfortably win Young Player of the Season. But Mike, I don't know how much have you seen of Martial, but if you have, what have you made from him so far, and also what have you made to Kevin De Bruyne's Manchester City career so far?
I love Martial, I really do, and this utter bullshit in the media pumping up his wage. What are they saying? 59 million, something like that. And you only paid what, 34? It the guy's a phenomenal player, but we've paid for De Bruyne up front. There's nothing to pay. There's nothing to pay afterwards, and it's going to be a close call as to which player is going to be the one who makes his mark the most in the Premier League. But yeah, I don't envy you guys because we have him, but he's certainly an exceptional talent. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I think this season ultimately Kevin De Bruyne will have a season purely because he's in what is it, like third or fourth senior season, whereas this is Martial's second one. But I think they've both started and hit the ground running. Obviously, Martial, well, he hasn't really shown it yet, but I think ultimately young players do kind of have dipped in form. But what about you, Callum? What have you made of De Bruyne and Martial's start to the season?
I said at the start of the season about Martial that I was going to come in with a clean slate. I watched a little bit of him on YouTube and I didn't know anything about him, but I came in with a clean slate. I didn't judge him at all, and by the end of this season, he's been absolutely fantastic. He's been one of our best players this season, if not our best player this season, of course, so far. Kevin De Bruyne, I did come in with a judgment. I looked at his previous record at Chelsea and was like, 56 million for this. Do you know what I mean? I was very sceptical. I think I was wrong, and he's proved me wrong. But to be fair, I think he's a brilliant player at the minute. He's scoring goals, he's assisting goals, and if he carries on, he's got every chance to become maybe get a player of the season. But there's going to be a lot of people fighting for that crown. But yeah, Kevin De Bruyne's exceptional player. Martial even more exceptional for his age as well. Exceptional for his age. Yeah, I definitely think they're both two top class players.
Yeah, and talking in the grand scheme of things, at the moment, City are currently top of the table. United, if we win, leapfrog City and go above them. But there is also Arsenal in the midst. They haven't won the Premier League for 10 years now. We ultimately said, I know we lost them 3-0, but I think when push comes to shove, Arsenal they don't have a backbone, they have no character. That's why I thought even at 3-0 down in that game against Arsenal, if that Martial goal would have come in, I think that they just have no character in their team, that they would just buckle like they did against Anderlecht last season in the Champions League. That unless something miraculously changes this season, then I think they're just going to fall away like they always do. But do you see them, Mark, as contenders up with us, or do you think that they run away with it, or do you think it's Man United and Man City and the Premier League title staying in Manchester?
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be in Manchester. Chelsea are out of it, I think, already, and I think Arsenal. Arsenal, I call a packet of jelly babies. They've got no backbone, so they've got no chance. As Roy Keane says, they're soft. They're softer than Elton John in a Playboy mansion. But it's Manchester United or Man City, and to be honest, as much as I'm a Manchester United fan, I think we're going to have to go to pressure City for the title. I think they've got to be favourites. They've won. They've got the same manager who won the title for them. They've got a good squad. Injuries, I know, are a problem for them at the moment. But Manchester United, if we're honest as a Manchester United fan, we're happy with the deadwood that's been cleared out. We're looking forward to the progression and the players that have come in. But it might be a big ask to win the title this year. And there's still going to be, I think, games like Arsenal where we get it wrong. But if we can hang in there till Christmas and then just take it game by game, then that's great from a United point of view. But definitely I can't see the title being anywhere else other than Manchester come next May.
I disagree.
Oh,
I think Arsenal's going to surprise everybody. I really do.
Well, Arsenal are known to choke. That's the problem with Arsenal. They're a choke artist.
Yeah,
They've done it. They did it a few seasons ago. They choke.
Yeah, I agree. But Their Champions League form, they're not getting through. It was a brilliant result against Bayern, but they're not going to go to Munich and win. No chance. And Olympiacos has to better or match their result against Bayern, and then they only need a point against Arsenal. It it leaves them open. I think they're going to surprise a few people. I really do. I'm not saying they're going to win it, but I think they will surprise a few people.
I think they'll be like there and thereabouts, but that's where they always are. I don't think they'll be I personally don't see them as challengers, but everyone can have their own opinion. Like just to come finally back on the YouTube page, it wasn't working for me earlier. Crocker saying Alex is talking trash. United have finished below Arsenal since Fergie left. Well, we've only had 2 seasons since Fergie left, so that isn't really much to say. In one of the seasons we had Moyes, which we finished basically below everyone in the league, so that's not really saying much. Raz Jazzy saying Sanchez will carry them and that they do have a chance. Victor Lim saying Sanchez is definitely carrying Arsenal, and I think that I know some Arsenal fans will deny it and throw out all the stats under the sun, but I think without Alexis Sanchez, they're a very, very ordinary team, and I might get some flack for that. But what about you, Mark? Do you think it? Oh no, sorry, Mike. So you think that Arsenal do have a chance, or do you, like as a City fan, do you obviously feel confident of winning the league this season?
If we can sort out our injuries, which are very Arsenal-esque, I think that we do have a good chance. But like I said, I don't think Arsenal are going to win, but I think they are going to surprise a few people and get a few results that people aren't expecting them to get. I mean, looking back at the Community Shield, only 30% of Community Shield winners have won the Premier League, and that includes yourself. And there's only you guys and Chelsea who have won the following league after winning the Community Shield. So it's not. It is very rare as it happens, and I do believe that City are going to win it, primarily because of their. Well, let's say they have a lot of people to fall back on. Whereas United don't. There are a couple of positions in United's squad where if somebody goes down injured, you have children to replace them. And that's not a good position to be in.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think I've said this on the show many, many times. I said, in terms of if we get Martial injured, then we have absolutely no one up front that could do a job. If we get Smalling injured, then we're screwed defensively. And heaven forbid, De Gea ever got injured and we had Romero in goal. Whereas, like you said, you have Aguero out now, who obviously always has a big injury every single season. But I don't know about the rest of the panel. I really. Or do you think City run away with it? Do you think we genuinely have a chance of winning the league this season?
I think City are definitely going to be contenders. We know that City are going to be up there. On the subject of Arsenal have always had a good team. They've always played brilliant football, but they've always fallen short. And maybe this year might be their year that they don't fall short. I don't know. United, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a flip of a coin for United. They're either going to be there or they're not going to be there. I think it could either be a train wreck of a season or it could be a really good season. But I mean, at a minute, I think we just need to be taking one game at a time because I mean we're going to City. We've got City next. This is a huge derby game. We need to get onto that sort of mindset of City at home rather than talking about the title. The title is still 30 odd games away. Okay, we need to be thinking about City at a minute. That's our main priority at this point in time.
Yeah, they definitely have to be. Moving on to a combined 11, an interesting question that I'm sure is going to cause a lot of debate. Mark, if you could make a combined 11, I'm going to take injuries out of it, so you can pick Aguero, so you can pick Silva, so you can pick Luke Shaw. Who would your combined Manchester United 11 be?
Mark,
are you going to put the image up? Alex.
Yes, I'm doing it now, but Callum stopped while I was doing it.
All right, okay. Well, you're about to put the image up now, and I think this has been quite fair, and we open up this debate because I think it is an interesting one, and you can come at it from a Manchester United biased, or you can come at it from quite a realistic point of view. I mean, Alex is trying to get the image up there, but basically, if I can recall it, it's this is mine. It's De Gea in goal, Company and Smalling as the centre backs. Zabaleta right back. I nearly went for Darmian, but I think Lou Van Gaal has cost Darmian his place by messing around with him. I think he is good enough to at least test Zabaleta. Obviously, Luke Shaw at left back. Schweinsteiger and Schneidlin. You've got an argument about Torre, but you've got an argument about Rooney. I haven't put him in. David Silva, whatever. Yeah, definitely him. De Bruyne, Martial, and Aguero. So that's my 11. Let the argument commence. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'd agree with your team in every single position. Yeah, I'd have Darmian over Zabaleta. I think against pace he has been found out, and I know if City fans watch this, they're obviously not going to rate Smalling because no other fan does, but I really think people need to start forgetting about how Smalling used to be. And ironically, it was against City away from home last season that his season just completely changed around. But also another point that I'm sure, apart from Yaya Toure, like you said, that they'll argue is that they'll try to take Martial out and put Sterling there. But I think that Martial personally is head and shoulders in every single aspect above Sterling. And I say that as an England fan, so I do actually like Sterling as well. But Mike, what do you think of the team that we have up at the moment? And obviously the City fan, I'm sure you'll remove some United players for the City ones.
My flabbergasted that Yaya is not on that pitch. Utterly flabbergasted. How you cannot pick that guy, I do not know. Aguero, De Bruyne, Silva, I agree with. Company, 2. Zabaleta, with the current form, I'm not so sure about. Maybe Smalling, maybe not. Sure, I will go with. Not a problem with. I'm quite happy to go with him. But I don't know how you can not pick Yaya Toure. I'm speechless, utterly speechless.
I'll tell you what, then we'll restore your speech because I'm happy to swap Schneidlin for Toure and put Darmian in at right back instead of Zabaleta.
No, what, and have two 30-something-year-olds? I think ultimately it comes down to who, like, you could have Schweinsteiger or Yaya Toure. Obviously, both now aren't as good as they used to be. In their prime, I don't think you would have, well, apart from City fans, arguing that Schweinsteiger was by far the better player than Yaya Toure. And I think Yaya Toure was an absolutely brilliant player, but he's just so lazy, he offers nothing defensively. And
no, he's not. This is the thing, guys. You need to listen. You need to pay attention to his game. He's not required to go back. You don't expect Rooney to defend a corner. You expect him to go up front. Admittedly, he's not been very good of late for the last couple of years, but that's what you expect him to do. Yaya Toure, he's one of those athletes who goes power. You cannot do that for 90 minutes, but you need him on the field. You need him when you need a goal. He must be on the pitch at all times if he's fit. Schweinsteiger, he's not. The way you guys should be using Schweinsteiger is the way that City used Lampard. Sparingly. Liverpool should. No, don't look at me like that. Liverpool should have used Gerrard that way in his final season. They should have used him 60 minutes here, 45 minutes there, and got the most out of him. He's got tired legs. No, don't shake your head. No.
What about Toure this year, though, Mike? Toure this year, is he on the decline this season? Taking this season,
he's been okay so far. I mean, the goal that was the own goal that we scored against Sevilla, that was his. Bunny wanted it, and there was no. It was ridiculous. Bunny hit the ball away from the net, and he said that it was his goal. But that goal was all Yaya. It was his doing. He pounced into the box, and it was fast. It was furious, and it was over before anybody knew what was happening. You need to use Schweinsteiger like we used Lampard. Simple as. Do not run the guy's legs ragged. Do not run him into the ground.
Number one, I think Yaya Toure is older or basically the same age as Schweinsteiger. Number two, I really question with how you're speaking about Schweinsteiger at the moment if you've actually watched him play for us this season, because he's been comfortably our best central midfield player this season. Obviously, we can't use...
No.
Obviously,
Van Gaal's been playing him out of position.
Huh?
Van Gaal's been playing him out of position.
Well, you mean he played him again?
Not a box-to-box midfielder anymore because he's 31 years old. He can't play the same game that he used to play. Originally, when Van Gaal first came to Bayern Munich, Schweinsteiger was playing as a winger, and Van Gaal converted him to a central midfielder. He now hasn't got the legs, obviously, to play the same game that he used to have, and it's the same with Yaya Toure. He doesn't have the same legs to play that he used to play. But when it comes to a technical aspect, I'm sorry, but I think Schweinsteiger is better than Yaya Toure. And Yaya Toure, what has he even done this season? Whereas, like I said, Schweinsteiger is being comfortably our best central midfield player.
You really need to take off those rose-tinted glasses.
Okay, well, we'll agree to disagree with that one. But what about you, Callum? What have you made of this whole debate, and where do you stand on the combined 11 and obviously the Yaya Toure versus Schweinsteiger debate? I thought that it would maybe be the Martial versus Sterling debate, or the Smalling or Mangala that caused the friction, not Yaya versus Schweinsteiger. But where do you stand on it all?
I do think Yaya Toure is a great player, no doubt. I know he has been quiet this season, just like Rooney's been quiet this season. But at the end of the day, Schweinsteiger and Yaya Toure are two completely different players. Yaya Toure is a complete powerhouse who will get the ball and he'll run 30 yards of it. Yaya Toure is a complete powerhouse, but he hasn't done anything this season. And the point of Schweinsteiger, as I've said to him before, he's like the engine in the midfield. Maybe he might not have a good game. And if you're saying that Schweinsteiger's been playing out of position, you mean he got played out of position against Arsenal where he was tactically played wrong. But at the end of the day, I think the combined 11 is kind of fair. I'd probably swap Zabaleta for Darmian just because Darmian's been better this season. And I feel that Schneiderlin maybe for Yaya Toure, because I do actually like Yaya Toure as a player. But yeah, I think the combined 11 would be my combined 11. Just Schneiderlin for Yaya and Zabaleta for Darmian.
Okay, but yeah, we'll move on from the combined 11 debate. But going on to the preview for the game, because obviously we'll see who's the better midfielder on Sunday when it's Schweinsteiger against Yaya face up. But Mark, where do you believe the game's going to be won and lost on Sunday?
I think the midfield, funnily enough. Let's get back into the Toure and Schweinsteiger debate. No, it will be winning the midfield. I think the defences are going to be pretty decent. Fullbacks will deal with what's to offer. I think these are good defences. There are weaknesses within our defences. We know Phil Jones is sort of coming back. Will Rojo play? They are rusty. They're getting a lot of stick at the moment, but they are rusty. And but I think with Smalling and hopefully Darmian at right back will be okay. With Schneiderlin in front of them. It'd be the midfield, and I think also a lot depends on Wayne Rooney because we are toothless with him up front. I'd love to see Martial play up top and Memphis or even Rooney move out to the left. It gives us some impetus, and I think Herrera's got to play. I've got a bad feeling he's not going to play. Herrera has got to play. If he's dropped, we're in trouble. But on the other hand, Man City don't have Aguero. I'm not sure. Michael will come on to it now. I don't know what the situation is with Silva. If Silva and Aguero are out, that sort of nullifies our issue with Rooney in a way. But it's a derby. It really is. It really will come down to who wants it the most, and the referee could have a part in it. I think it's Clattenburg. He tends to be a home banker as much as he is a wanker, and I think lots of things can happen in a derby. I'm confident about it, but I expect it will be won because with a home side, I think it will come down to that. Unless Louis van Gaal makes some really odd selections, you never know what he's going to do. But if it's the team from Everton last week, I I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be great. Can't wait for it. Really looking forward to it. But I don't think it'll be won or lost in any particular area other than the midfield.
Yeah, I think he'd be crazy to change from that Everton team. I mean, obviously we had Mata dropped against CSKA, but I'm sure that was just tactical. And likewise with Schweinsteiger coming off, maybe just to preserve him a bit. The only thing that I'm worried about personally is the fact that we've just been to Russia and City obviously had the home game that it's obviously going to take more out of our players. They arrived back at 4 o'clock today in the afternoon, so I don't know if they even had a training session today, and I'm guessing they'll have one tomorrow and the next day. But apart from that, we really haven't had much time to prepare for the game. But 3 players for me always turn up in the Manchester derby, and that's Yaya, Silva and Aguero, and 2 out of those 3 are out. So I'm just over the moon that Aguero is not there because he always scores against us. But what about you, Mike?
Company.
Yeah, Company will be back, but he's nothing on Mike Smalling, so it doesn't really bother me. Martial will put Company on his ass. So, what's your opinion of the game, Mike? Or where do you think the game's going to be won and lost?
It is. I hate to agree with Mark, but he's right that it is midfield where it's going to be won and lost. And a full strength side for both teams. City beat United hands down. I'm sorry if you would disagree with this, and I can see from your smirky, shitty grin that you agree. But it's a pity that we're going to miss those 2 players. To give everybody a spectacle to watch. But I would ask the 3 of you: is the derby now bigger than it used to be? When City were nothing, and you used to regularly beat us with the occasional defeat that came unexpected. Does it hurt more now, or does it hurt more then?
Alex, can I just answer that one, because I'm gonna jump. I've got to jump off before 9:30. So, but it's a great question by Mike. What I would say is it does matter more. But I was thinking about this before the show. I'm a little bit older than the young lads we've got in the studio. Liverpool's always the game for me, and the biggest example of that was when you won the title 2 years ago, and I wanted you to win the title because it would have killed me if Liverpool had won it. So Liverpool's always the bigger game domestically. Then it's Oldham, and then it's you. I'm only joking. City is a bigger game than it has been for a long time. I remember the games when you weren't very good, and there was a massive incentive for City to win, and they did win sometimes. I remember the thrashing of Fergie, and it's definitely bigger, and it has made it more interesting. It's not quite. I don't know whether it can ever take over the Liverpool game, but there's definitely a lot more riding on it now. And finally, Mark, I do agree with you. I think if you've got Aguero and you've got Silva at the moment, you probably do beat us, and that's not, United stand, we do say how it is, and obviously we want United to win, and I think we could beat your best side, but Aguero and Silva are massive losses, and you still are at the moment above and where we want to be, and people hate it when United fans say that, and I know Moyes said it a couple of years ago when you came to our place, and a Manchester United manager should never say that, but as fans, we're still climbing the mountain, and I think we can beat you, and I think we will beat you on Sunday, and I think we could beat you with Aguero and Silva, but I do agree with you that your team, when it's fully fit, is above our team at the moment.
In terms of the entire season, yeah, I agree with that their team is currently, their starting 11 is better than us, but that's just going to take time. We're completely rebuilding a team. We sold more than half the team. We've bought more than half the team in the last 2 seasons, but they had Aguero and Silva last season, and we absolutely trashed them. It was 4-1 before we went down to 10 men, and then they got their Aguero consolation prize, which really shields the thing. But I agree, over the course of the season, their team is better, and like what we touched on in the show, our squad's a lot more shallow than theirs is. But Callum, where do you think the game will be won and lost?
The game will be won and lost in midfield, like everyone else has said. But I think that this time, every time that we've played City, and I don't think it's every time, but mostly every time, we've always kind of said in the past years that someone needs to control the midfield. And in previous years, we've had people like Fellaini and Carrick in midfield, and we thought Fellaini would like dominate Yaya Toure. That didn't happen. But I hope that Schweinsteiger can outmuscle and outplay and then keep on Yaya Toure, keep him out of the game. Because if Yaya Toure is out of the game, we know that the game will pass him by. But I think again we won and lost in midfield. I think both teams have got pace going up front. I think Aguero will be a big miss. But I think with Boney up front against Smalling and Jones, I think hopefully it's Jones. I think that definitely will have could like sort of sit him in our pockets. But at the end of the day, it's a 50-50 sort of game now. I can see United, as like I said against Everton a few weeks ago, if United come out and they play well, then we'll be looking at the 4-2 that we saw last week against Everton. Last season against City. But if we come back to sort of the Arsenal performance and they drum that performance in, then we could be looking at another 6-1 demolishing job. So either way, it's always a 50-50 going into this game, depending on how United turn up and how City turn up.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. It also depends on how we set the team up. Like against Arsenal, Van Gaal, in my opinion, got the team selection completely wrong, and I think he realised that. And then against Everton, he got the team selection absolutely spot on, which I think most people would have chosen, except maybe a lot of people would have dropped Bruyne, but he did score in that game, so fair play to him for that. Ultimately, though, Mike, how do you see the game going? What's your score prediction for the game?
I'm not quite sure. It depends what kind of City turn up. We were pummeling everybody to begin with, and then something suddenly went wrong. And this horrid 4-4-2 that Pellegrini suddenly implemented in the Champions League was horrendous. And it was only when he brought off and brought on Fernando where we mixed it up a bit. I mean, how can you play 4-4-2 with only one striker? The mind boggles, for fuck's sake.
Who was your other striker that you played? Well, your person that was meant to be the other striker.
Well, I'm not quite sure. I thought it was Sterling, but it seemed to interchange so much. But like I said, you can't have two up front when you've only got one. And it made no sense to me. And as soon as Fernando came on, I sat up and noticed and thought, finally, thank you very much. Finally, he's woken up. But I'm going to sit on the fence and just say 1-1 and screw it. We stay top of the league and everybody's happy and everybody moans.
How about you, Callum? How do you see the game going? Bearing in mind that we've just had this trip back from Russia.
To be fair, if it's coming into a City United derby, I can't see anyone drawing it. I mean, I don't think draws are very frequent in the derby. It's always someone's going to win it or someone's going to lose it. Like I said, I'm always confident that United were going to win, even if it's a tough opponent. I think that if United turn up, then it will be a 2-1, a 2-1 sort of 2-0 win, maybe, or 3-1 win. If United don't turn up, then I reckon it will be a 2-1 or 3-1 City win. So not kind of sitting on the fence, but I think whichever team turns up, it'll be a 3-1 win for them.
I would say that there have been 49 draws in this match.
No, but I mean in like recent years.
Yeah, but 49, and there's only been 60 United wins. There's only 11 less. To say that there's not been too many, there's been quite a few.
No, I'm talking about recent sort of era.
I think he means in the modern era since Takes came to City.
The last draw against United City was back in 2010. That's nearly half a decade without basically a draw. So
yeah, that was 0-0.
Yeah, that was 0-0. Yeah, but we're looking at sort of anyway. It goes either way. And as I said, there's times where City are winning it, and there's times when United are winning it. But I cannot see it being a draw in no way, shape or form, to be honest.
Well, in that case, if we're talking about recent times, then City will win.
Fair enough.
Yeah, City do have it in terms of since City got money, they do actually seem to have our number. But obviously, recently, last season, they scraped a 1-0 victory over us when we played with 10 men for basically the entire game. But that's in a lot of United fans' mind, that has to be one of the greatest games in our recent history because that gave us randomly from a hopeful pub team player to an absolutely brilliant player and comfortably our best defender by an absolute mile. So we thank you for that. And then obviously it went to Old Trafford and we absolutely played you off the park. Um, with you getting the consolation goal obviously in the last minute, but I think ultimately it comes down to going into the game. If neither had a Champions League game during this week, then I think that we would. I reckon it would be about 3-1 to United. But I'm worried about how we're going to recover from the trip to Russia and stuff. Obviously, if it was if the roles were reversed and City were away, I would think it would be a lot easier. But it just comes down to the recovery, and I think if I don't think it comes down to turning up because we usually do turn up against the big teams under Van Gaal. I know the Arsenal game was a blip, but like I said, we got the team selection completely and utterly wrong for that. But I'm feeling confident about the game. I'm going to go with a 3-1 victory for United. I think we'll give City a lot of problems, and I think people will be surprised at how good Smalling is because I think he'll mark Bonnie out of the game. I'm really happy that Aguero isn't playing, obviously, and Silva because they always play really well against us. And it's taking nothing away from City. Like I said, I still realistically think they'll finish above us in the table, but I don't fear them, and I think we'll end up beating them but at Old Trafford today. But anyway, thanks for coming on, Callum and Mike. And we'll be back on Sunday, and Mark's doing his FIFA reviews. But anyway, yeah, thanks for joining us, Mike.
You're welcome. Anytime.
And thanks for coming on, Callum.
Pleasure as always. Pleasure as always.
Yeah, so like I said, just tune into those videos. The FIFA predicts tomorrow, and come on United. Let's hope for a win, and hopefully, if Arsenal drop points, we'll be top of the table. Come on United.